The windshield wipers could barely keep up with the assault. Marcus Chen gripped the steering wheel tighter as hailstones the size of golf balls hammered his Mercedes, each impact like a gunshot in the quiet business district. He should have been home an hour ago, should have been reading bedtime stories to his daughter, Emma, but the quarterly reports had demanded his attention. Now the sky had opened up with a vengeance, and he was paying the price for his workaholism. That's when he saw her, a small figure huddled against a brick wall, arms wrapped around her knees, soaked to the bone. She couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old, wearing what looked like a school uniform that clung to her tiny frame. Marcus's heart seized. Without thinking, he yanked the wheel and pulled over, ignoring the honking from the car behind him. He grabbed his jacket from the passenger seat and bolted into the storm. The hail stung his face and hands, but he didn't care. Within seconds, he reached the girl and threw his jacket over her head like a shield. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's get you out of here." She looked up at him with wide, dark eyes filled with terror and something else, recognition. But that was impossible. Marcus had never seen this child before in his life. He scooped her up without waiting for permission and ran back to his car, shielding her body with his own as hail pummeled his back and shoulders. Once inside the car, Marcus cranked up the heat and turned to examine the shivering child. She was soaked through, her lips tinged blue, dark hair plastered to her face. He reached into the back seat for the emergency blanket he kept there. A habit formed after becoming a single father, always prepared for Emma's needs. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" he asked, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. The girl shook her head, but she was trembling so violently that Marcus wasn't sure if it was from cold or fear. He pulled out his phone to call 911, but her small hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the drumming hail. "Don't call them yet." Marcus hesitated. Every parental instinct screamed that he needed to get this child to safety, to find her family, to alert the authorities. But something in her eyes made him pause. "What's your name, honey?" "Lily." She pulled the blanket tighter. "Lily Morrison. I'm Marcus. Where are your parents, Lily? Why were you out there alone?" Tears welled up in her eyes, mixing with the rain still dripping from her hair. "My mom. She's in the hospital. St. Catherine's. I was trying to walk there, but then the storm came and I got lost and scared." Marcus's chest tightened. St. Catherine's was 15 miles away, through some of the roughest parts of the city. What kind of desperation would drive a child to attempt that journey alone? "What about your dad? Other family?" Lily shook her head. "It's just us. Just me and Mom. The nurses said visiting hours were over, but I had to see her. She's been there for 3 days, and they won't tell me anything because I'm just a kid." Marcus understood that fear, the helplessness, of being separated from the person you loved most. After his wife Sarah died 2 years ago, he'd watched Emma grapple with that same terror every time he was out of sight, afraid he might disappear too. "Okay," he said gently. "Let's get you warm and dry first. Then we'll figure out how to get you to your mom." He drove to a nearby coffee shop that was still open despite the storm. Inside, he bought Lily hot chocolate and a muffin, watching as she wrapped her small hands around the cup, finally beginning to stop shaking. Her clothes were still damp, so Marcus made a quick call to his nanny, Mrs. Rodriguez, asking her to bring some of Emma's clothes to meet them. While they waited, Lily studied him over the rim of her cup. That look of recognition was still there, making Marcus increasingly uncomfortable. "Do I know you from somewhere?" he finally asked. Lily set down her cup carefully. "No, but my mom used to tell me about you." Marcus felt the world tilt slightly. "I'm sorry, what?" "You're Marcus Chen, right? The CEO of Chen Technologies?" When he nodded slowly, she continued. "Well, my mom, her name is Jennifer Morrison. She worked for you 5 years ago." The name hit Marcus like a physical blow. Jennifer Morrison. His mind raced back through years of employees, board meetings, and corporate decisions. Then it clicked, a memory he'd buried under layers of grief and guilt. 5 years ago, during the worst financial crisis his company had ever faced, Marcus had been forced to make devastating cuts. Jennifer Morrison had been among the dozens of employees laid off in a single brutal week. He remembered her personnel file: single mother, consistently excellent performance reviews, Always stayed late to meet deadlines. And he'd let her go anyway because the numbers demanded it. I remember, Marcus said quietly, shame washing over him. I remember your mother. She never blamed you, Lily said, her voice small but steady. She told me that you cried when you had to let people go, that you tried to give everyone the best severance packages you could. She said you were a good man making impossible choices. Marcus had to look away, his eyes burning. He had cried that day, behind his closed office door where no one could see the CEO break down. He'd felt like a failure, like he'd betrayed the people who'd trusted him to protect their livelihoods. Where has your mother been working? He asked. Wherever she can, Lily replied. 3 different jobs right now. She works so hard, but we still barely have enough. She got really sick last week, pneumonia, the doctor said. She wouldn't stop working even when she had a fever. She said we needed the money for my school supplies. The guilt that Marcus had carried for years suddenly felt unbearable. While he'd rebuilt his company into something even more successful, while he'd secured Emma's future 10 times over, Jennifer Morrison had been drowning, working herself sick to provide for her daughter. St. Catherine's, he said, standing abruptly. Let's go see your mother. By the time they arrived at the hospital, the storm had passed, leaving the streets gleaming and clean. Mrs. Rodriguez had met them with dry clothes, and Lily looked almost normal in Emma's slightly too big jeans and sweater. Marcus used every ounce of his CEO authority to get past the nurses' station and find Jennifer Morrison's room. She was sleeping when they entered, looking fragile against the white sheets, oxygen tubes in her nose, but her eyes snapped open when Lily whispered, Mom? Lily! Jennifer tried to sit up, panic flooding her face. Baby, where have you? I'm okay, Mom, Lily said, rushing to her bedside. This man helped me. It's Mr. Chen, remember? From your old job? Jennifer's eyes found Marcus, and he watched understanding dawn on her face, followed by embarrassment. Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry. I don't know what Lily told you, but I never... Please, Marcus interrupted. Don't apologize. I should be apologizing to you. He moved closer to the bed, his hands clasped together. 5 years ago, I made a business decision that hurt a lot of good people. I told myself it was necessary, that I had no choice, but I never followed up. I never checked to see how those people were doing after we let them go. That was a failure of leadership, a failure of basic human decency. Jennifer shook her head weakly. You saved your company. You protected hundreds of other jobs, and I abandoned the people I couldn't protect. Marcus pulled up a chair. Your daughter walked 15 miles in a hailstorm to see you. Do you know why? Because you've taught her that love means showing up, no matter how impossible the journey seems. You're an incredible mother, Jennifer, and I'm going to make this right. Over the next hour, Marcus made several calls. By the time visiting hours officially ended, he'd arranged for Jennifer's medical bills to be covered, set up a trust fund for Lily's education, and offered Jennifer a position in his company with a salary that would ensure she'd never have to work 3 jobs again. I can't accept this, Jennifer protested, tears streaming down her face. It's too much. It's not charity, Marcus said firmly. It's justice. It's what I should have done 5 years ago, taking care of the people who helped build something I'm proud of. Lily climbed onto her mother's bed carefully, snuggling against her side. See, Mom? You were right about him. He is a good man. As Marcus drove home that night, he thought about the strange way life circles back on itself. He'd gone out into the storm thinking he was saving a child, but perhaps Lily had saved him. Instead, saved him from becoming so consumed by success that he forgot the human cost of his decisions. When he arrived home, Emma was waiting up, despite the late hour. He held her tight, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, grateful for the reminder that success meant nothing if you lost sight of what truly mattered. The next week, Marcus established the Chen Foundation, dedicated to supporting families affected by corporate layoffs. And every time he saw Jennifer Morrison walking through his office, confident, healthy, building a new career, with Lily visiting during school breaks, he remembered the little girl in the hailstorm who'd taught him that the most important business was the business of being human. Sometimes the universe sends us tests disguised as storms, and sometimes, if we're paying attention, those storms lead us exactly where we need to go. back to our better selves, back to the people we've left behind, back to the truth that kindness is never a weakness but the strongest foundation we can build our lives upon.